morning, my YouTubing friends. Welcome to Hillside Harvest Homestead this morning. Obviously, we're in the barn and we are milking. Just wanted to show you how to do it, what we're doing, what our routine is. So I've got Maple here, and she's usually a pretty good milker. Lately I've been having some other people come in who are new to milking and working on milking her, and it just takes a little longer because as you're newer it takes much longer, and usually you just train one hand at a time. It's hard to do both hands at one time. So anyways, she's been holding her milk back because of that, because it's taking too long, so she doesn't always let it all go. So she hasn't been giving quite as much. She actually will give me almost a half a gallon a day, which is really great for a Nigerian dwarf. I have two does that are in milk. The other one is a typical Nigerian dwarf that gives less than a quart a day. So she doesn't give quite as much. It's fine. You know, it works. That's why I bought 4 of them, because I knew that they didn't produce very much. So anyways, my get up that I have is just super simple. It's stuff that I have at home. So I have a dish towel, and I do have print on one side and it's blank on the other side for a reason. I will use the top of this, the side with the print on it, to wipe my hands down, to wipe her udder down after I've washed it. So this part gets a little wet. This part will stay clean, and I will show you why later. And this is just how I carry it down, because it's easiest to carry down from the house. This way I have 2 little plastic buckets that I use. One has my warm soapy water in it, and I've got a rag in here for cleaning, and the other one is my stripping cup. So I will use this on both of my does that I'm milking. Neither one of them have CAE, so I can milk, you know, back and forth. I can use the same items for both. And then I have a simple stainless steel bowl from inside the house that I use for my milking. Alright, so what I do first of all, I'm going to keep my bowl covered as much as possible. The only time that I have it uncovered is when I'm actually milking. That way I'm not getting any debris from the barn in the milk itself. I try to limit it as much as possible. You obviously are going to get some dirt, some hair, things like that that fall off the goat and get into your milk. You strain that later, so you don't have to worry about that. But because we drink raw milk, I need to be very careful of manure, anything that can have that bacteria in it. Manure is the worst, but I do keep my milking station very clean. I don't let the goats come in this area where I milk, because I don't want them pooping around it. I do have a mat that they stand on. One, it helps cushion their feet while they're standing here for a while on Maple. And the other is I can easily just clean it up. So, but this is all I use. It's very simple, very easy. So let's get to it. Okay, so I've got my bowl here that's covered. Keep it covered. Bring out my soapy water, and I'm going to wash my hands myself first before I even touch her. So it's just simply soap water. And then what I'm doing is wiping her bag, her whole bag down. And if I get the side of her legs, great, because there's dirt there as well. Make sure that I'm wiping. Sometimes they get manure on the back of their bag. And then I just like to clean her twice, because I know the first time just gets dirt off, but the second time I want it clean. Alright, setting that aside, Now I use the top of the rag, like I said, that has the print on it. Wiped my hands off with it. Now I'm going to wipe her udders off. You want to wipe that off because if it's real wet, you don't want any bacteria that's on the teats to drip into the milk. And it's also easier to handle the teats when they're dry and when your hands are dry. Okay, covering it back up. Now I'm taking my strip cup, and what I'm going to do is just take, you can take more than one squirt. I take one squirt and that's all I feel I need. So stripping the teat, inside the teat, they can get bacteria in there, and so you are just getting rid of that bacteria. Because you don't want that in your milk. Okay, and one squirt for me is all it takes, because that's getting all that milk out. Some people will take 2 to 3. What you want to do with this milk is you also want to look at it, make sure that there are no lumps, there's no clumps in there, there's no color in there. You don't want milk, you don't want blood color or yellow color in there. All that means mastitis. Okay, so we're setting that aside. Now we get to the milking. So what you need to do with your hand is pushing up against the bag, and then you're going to squeeze down on the teat. You're not pulling it down. It will look like I'm pulling down if I'm going fast, but I'm really not. I'm just simply pushing down with my fingers is all I'm doing. Okay? You need to completely milk them out. Otherwise, their body gets used to not creating as much milk, and so it will decrease in the amount of milk that she does make. When I first started, I wasn't real coordinated with one hand. Woo, that was close. She's getting irritated. She's like, "You're not going fast enough." There's probably flies too. That's also another thing. If they step in the bowl, your milk is done. Keep milking them out, but you can't use that milk because they've just gotten it contaminated. So milking is not quite like they do in the movies. In the movies, they just make these quick little draws on these teats. You'll get less milk when you go quick like that. You actually want to make longer draws. You'll get more milk if you make a longer, slower draw than if you just make real quick squirts into the bowl. When you're first starting, a lot of times, I still will now, sometimes, if you don't squeeze hard enough with your top fingers, you will actually feel the milk squirt back up into the bag, which is uncomfortable for the dough, so you want to try not to do that. So the best way to avoid that is to pinch as good as you can up on the top. It keeps that milk from going back in there. If they are starting to hold their milk back, they're not quite giving you as much as normal, you can bump their bag or rub their bag. Babies will do that when they're nursing. They bump into their mom. It helps let the milk down. So I'll just kind of bump it with my hand a bit here, and that will help release that milk down. So you can get every little bit, every last little bit that you can. Good girl. see we're getting less here. There's a less amount coming out of the teat. So she's getting pretty close to empty here. But yeah, when I first started, I could only use one hand at a time. The other hand just was not coordinated. It wasn't strong enough. I am lifting the bowl because she's getting kind of irritated with a couple flies hanging around. I don't want her stepping in the milk. So you just learn to do this with two hands. The people that I'm teaching right now, they're starting with one hand as well, and that's just kind of how it goes. You know, your arms kind of will start to cramp up a little bit, your hands will get tired, and you get milk all over you because you don't know quite how to squirt it into the bowl yet. All right, girlfriend, I think you're good. Okay, take it away and cover it right away. I'm going to set it aside, and I'm going to get my next dough. So we're doing the same thing, and again, I get my hands dirty between goats. So I'm going to wash my own hands again. She has much softer teats. Her bag is much softer as well than Maple's. So her, you really have to work on bumping up on her teat to get that teat filled with milk. So hers, you can see usually if you bump up here, that teat fills up. It actually gets a little bit bigger. I know it's going to be difficult for you guys to see because I can't get in real close, but hers, you really do have to bump up on her bag quite a bit. I don't use a machine milker at this point just because, it's only a couple doughs and it really only takes me maybe 15 minutes from start to finish at the most with just these couple of ladies. Once the cow milks starts lactating, I may go to a milker on the cow while I'm hand milking these guys. I don't like having to wash all the pieces every single time you milk. You're milking twice a day and it just kind of adds to what you have to do. At this point, all you do, you come out, you milk, you strain the milk, put the milk in your freezer for a half hour, and then put it in the fridge, and that's it. That's all there is to it. Add on cleaning the machine and every part of the machine, it gets a little tedious. Make sure she's milked out. She's getting real close. Bumping her bag a little bit. girl, Tilly. Good girl. Alright, and she is milked out. Alright. There you go. Cover it up. Get her put back in her little stall. And we're ready. Okay, so we're in the kitchen. This is why I want the one side dirty and the other side clean. It's just to eliminate some laundry. So I open it up and I will use a clean part of this rag that didn't touch anything. It didn't touch my shoulder, didn't touch dirt, didn't touch my hands, nothing. Okay, so it's clean. I've got 2 quart jars, which I have other size jars, but so that you can see about how much I get, I'm just using 4 jars. So I will put this rag over here, and I'll just use this as a strainer. It saves money. There are strainers that you can buy. You can also buy cheesecloth. It didn't quite like the cheesecloth because even though I washed it, it still smelled like milk. Like rotten milk, not good milk, rotten milk. And it also feels a little crusty. So to me, that just doesn't seem like it's very clean. So even though, I mean, they get washed time and time again, they still feel different and smell different. So I prefer using this. I don't have to spend money on filters either. So, and then you're just running this through, straining it. And so all that you're doing at this point, you're just getting any hair or debris out of here. It doesn't clean the milk in any way. If you want to pasteurize it, you do have to cook it on the stove for a little while. But it is ready to drink at this point because it has been strained. That's all you do with raw milk. But you know, if you haven't noticed, I try to keep everything clean. I washed my hands when I came in before I did this so that my hands are clean. With raw milk, you need to be really careful that everything is clean because you can get sick from drinking raw milk. So, and we don't want to do that, especially if you're selling the milk. You need to make sure that you have really clean practices. Okay, and then to cool it down really quickly, I just stick it into the freezer for about a half an hour and then stick it into the refrigerator, and there you go, you have your fresh milk. Thank you for joining us today. I hope that you guys learned something and have a wonderful day.